Good morning, sunshine. Welcome to the Cup of Curious podcast with Will, where we talk pop culture, music, movies, faith, and more. So grab your favorite overpriced caffeinated drink and join the conversation. This is the Cup of Curious podcast. You're on, Will.
Hey family, God bless you all. What is going on? Welcome to the Cup of Curious podcast with me, your boy, your man, Will. How y'all doing on this beautiful Monday morning? I'm assuming you're listening Monday morning, but if not, how are you doing, period? Good. I'm glad to hear it. No, seriously, I hope you guys are having a good morning, afternoon, evening. Please don't let a bad 5 minutes ruin your whole day. We tend to let that happen a lot. Don't give people that power. You know, if you have an argument with somebody, don't give them that power. If you argued with them, ask for forgiveness. You know, don't go to bed angry. That's not good for nobody. But today we're talking about Kirk Franklin, his boycotting of the Dove Awards, and my problem with Christian/gospel music and the divide that it has, not just with race, but the sound. And I'll explain that later on. But let's get this out of the way. First and foremost, I'm not drinking anything, so I'm sorry I won't be able to share a drink with you guys today. But I will make that up on next week's episode, which, by the way, I'm hoping very, very soon to have guests on this program so that we can both share a drink and have a conversation in which you could join. If you would like to be a guest on the Cup of Curious, that's right. I'm not looking for celebrities or well-known people. If you would like to be a guest on Cup of Curious, please shoot me an email or hit me up in my DMs on Instagram at Cup of Curious Podcast. I would love to hear from you and let me know why you would like to be on the podcast and see if we can get you on. Excuse me. Oh, did y'all hear that? I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. That was not professional. Anyway, so also before I begin, I would like to let you guys know that if you're in the Philadelphia area, between the 15th and the 17th of this month, November, my church, my local congregation, is having our Fiesta de la Cosecha, or the Harvest Feast. It's an annual celebration that we do for 3 days in a row, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. And it is at 1011 West Butler Street, Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, 19140. Please don't go over there to heckle me. I'm there to worship and to celebrate just like everybody else there. So come, we invite you. You're welcome to come and join us. The music is going to be amazing, but the word is going to even be more powerful. So come and join us for the Fiesta de la Cosecha this Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, November 15th, 16th, and 17th at 1011 West Butler Street, Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, Iglesia El Faro. It's going to be an amazing time, and when you get there, it's going to be a parking lot. There's 2 parking lots. You're going to go into either the outside one or the inside one. You're going to go in the building, up the stairs, and make a right, and you're going to see the church. Hope to see you there. So, let's talk about Kirk Franklin. So, for those of you who are out of the loop, Kirk Franklin, who is a legendary gospel artist, recently made a statement that he's going to be boycotting the Dove Awards. Now, for those of you who are not familiar with the Dove Awards, they are basically the Christian equivalent of the Grammys. And the reason Kirk Franklin is boycotting them is because apparently for the second time, first time being in 2016, when Kirk Franklin won his award and did his acceptance speech, he made mention of the violence that's been happening, especially against people of color. This time he talked about, the death of Atiana Jefferson, the 28-year-old African-American woman who got shot by a white police officer in her home last month. Our prayers and condolences to the family. And unfortunately, TBN, or the powers that be, maybe the Gospel Music Association, decided to edit that part of Kirk's speech. And maybe my guess is that because they're under a time slot, I don't know how long the awards was televised for, but with a lot of award shows, you can't have a 6-hour award show and expect the network to give you 6 hours of airtime. That's why a lot of times you see edited speeches, edited performances. But to my knowledge, Kirk's acceptance speech was probably between 3 and 4 minutes long. And you guys can correct me if you think I'm wrong or if I'm tripping. when someone wins an award for best gospel artist of the year or whatever the case is, when the award is, quote unquote, more prestigious, shouldn't the recipient have a little bit more time to speak? Am I tripping when I say that? I don't know. But in either case, Kirk Franklin was very, very displeased, with the GMAs, with the GMA Devil Awards, and he made this statement. I have made the decision, after prayer, consultation with my team and my pastor, Dr. Tony Evans, to not attend any events affiliated with or for the Dove Awards, Gospel Music Association, or TBN until tangible plans are put in place to protect and champion diversity, especially where people of color have contributed their gifts, talents, and finances to help build the viability of these institutions. Kirk also stated that his ultimate goal is reconciliation, not only reconciliation, but also accountability. Now, if I put myself in his shoes, where I win an award and I want to use this platform to address certain cultural issues, I first of all, I have the free right to do so, but I will be disappointed to find out that part was edited out. Now, you can find Kirk's full speech online, but that doesn't really, fix the matter, because it's like, well, we're sorry we had to edit it out, but if you go to our website, you can see it there. And I don't know if it's on YouTube or not, but it doesn't change the fact that shouldn't have happened, in my opinion. So now we have this issue where Kirk it doesn't want to attend any of these events, and it created a chain reaction because Lecrae, a rapper who's also very faith-centric, who comes from CHH, followed suit and said he would no longer attend anything associated with, the GMAs or the Dove Awards or anything like that. I believe Natalie Grant followed suit, who was a CCM singer. So I guess it caught the attention of the Gospel Music Association, because then their president, Jackie Patillo, said this. And it kind of highlights what I said. We had to significantly edit the Dove telecast to 2 hours, like I said, and that many were disappointed because there were so many memorable moments and noteworthy portions of acceptance speeches absent. She continued to say that they would like to publicly acknowledge that we are deeply apologetic for the missteps that happened relating to the editing of Kirk Franklin's Dove Awards acceptance speech. She added, "We accept the responsibility of our error. Although completely unintentional, we understand it caused great harm and deeply wounded many in the African American and gospel community." Now, as the last time I checked, I heard that Kirk Franklin's people are talking with TBN's people or whomever. But I think it's very damaging. It damages your reputation. It makes you look a certain way, especially like when these kinds of issues are hot right now. You definitely don't want to be painted on the negative side of that. And it's not like Kirk Franklin is wishing ill will on these people. He wants them to rectify the problem. Kirk Franklin also went on to say, when we don't say anything, we're saying something, which is absolutely true. As a man of color myself, when you refuse to say something about an issue, you're saying it's okay. And so when they edited that part of his speech out, I guess he felt like they were trying to silence him, which they're saying that's not true. That's not the case. So I guess we'll see what happens. But you guys let me know if that was you. You won an award and you used your platform to try to bring attention to a cultural issue, a societal issue, only to find out that part of your speech was taken out. How would you feel? And what do you think the remedy should be? And with that, talking about, the gospel music and people of color, it got me thinking about something I used to think about a long time ago, and it just kind of came back to me. We have this divide in gospel music and Christian music. You see? Like, even with that. Because let me tell you this, or let me ask you this, you, the listener. If I told you to think about a gospel music artist, what's the first thing you're going to think of? I would bet good money that then 3/4 of you will probably think of an African American. That the first thing you're going to think of is a person of color when you think about gospel music. You're going to think about Kirk Franklin, or maybe you're going to think about Shirley Caesar, Marvin Sapp, Yolanda Adams, Donnie McClurkin, Lonnie Hunter. You know, you're going to think about someone of color when you think of gospel music. Now, if I asked you, think of somebody from contemporary Christian music, CCM, or you may not be familiar with the term, so I'll make it easier for you. Think of an artist that belongs on K-Love, the radio station K-Love. And that's not a shot against K-Love, but just think of someone. You're most likely are going to think about Toby Mac, Chris Tomlin, for King and Country, Casting Crowns, Amy Grant, Natalie Grant. Predominantly, you're going to think of white people. But isn't that bizarre? Aren't we all singing about the same thing? Aren't we all singing about the same God? So why are we calling it something different for each person? Style? Is that what it is? Because I'm pretty sure that's what some people are going to say. Oh, Will, it has something to do with style. What do you mean style? What does gospel sound like? Because the last time I checked, gospel is the good news of Jesus Christ. And the last time I checked, Christian or Christianity was a belief system, a religion, whatever you want to call it. What does that sound like? You know, you understand what I'm saying, right? I know it may sound like a headache to think about, but it's something that bothers me greatly. Because you will never hear somebody calling Kirk Franklin's music CCM, and you will never hear nobody saying that Michael W. Smith is gospel music. But why? He is singing about the gospel, but why? Kirk Franklin is a Christian. You understand? Why is there this racial divide? And maybe I'm not asking it the right way, but I know I'm not the only one who thinks this. I know I'm not the only one. And another kind of divide we have is, along with gospel or Christian, is worship. I always believe that no matter the genre, we're all worshiping God. Whether you're a hip-hop artist that's rapping for God, or you're a heavy metal band and your lyrics are full of God and you know, Bible themes, you're worshiping. You're 100% worshiping. But when we think of worship, the same thing I just did with you guys with gospel and Christian. When I ask you to think of worship bands or worship groups, who do you think of? You're most likely going to think of Hillsong, Elevation Music, Jesus Culture, Bethany. You know, you're going to think of these groups, but you're not going to think of Skillet. You know, you're not going to think of Social Club Misfits. You know, you're not going to think of Switchfoot. You're not going to think, Andy Mineo. When you think of worship, you're going to think of these groups. But why? If we're all worshiping. Yeah, not every single one of our songs may outright be worship, but if we're pointing people to God and we're making people think about the things of God or things that are honorable, like that Bible verse says, whatever is true, whatever is noble, think of such things. If our music is doing that, why are we separated that way? See, there's something that the Grammys do, or the MTV Music Awards, that these award shows do that I really do like a lot. That's when you see the collaborations of artists you would never see collaborate before. Honestly, one of my favorite ones, and I know it's going to sound weird, but I actually really, really enjoyed Eminem doing his collaboration for his song Stan with Elton John. Now, I know that was done during the time where people thought Eminem was homophobic, so this collaboration was done, I think, out of that to show that Eminem wasn't homophobic, because everybody knows that Elton John, is a proud gay man. And anyway, I really enjoyed that collaboration because I didn't expect that to happen. Or a more recent one, maybe not recent, I think maybe last year, when Post Malone did his version of Rockstar with 21 Savage, here comes Steven Tyler of Aerosmith. And I thought that was sick the way they did that. But you really don't see that in Christian music awards. See, the point I'm trying to make is that the Grammys are showing when two people from completely different sides of the field come together, united, they can make something incredible. I believe 100% the same thing can happen with the Dove Awards. We just don't see it. Or not just the Dove Awards, maybe the Stellar Awards. Or whatever Christian other award shows there are out there. You know how amazing it would be if Ryan Clark, the lead singer of Demon Hunter, was to do something with the Gaithers, an old school Southern gospel band group. That'd be amazing. Or if Andy Mineo was to do something with Kirk Franklin. Because I know Kirk and Lecrae did something, but I would love to see Andy and Lecrae do something. Or if Lacey Sturm, the former lead singer of Flyleaf, she's now a solo artist, if she was to come and do something with Shirley Caesar, you know how amazing that would be? But we don't do stuff like that. Why? We will be united. It's so bizarre to me. And that's another thing, is that when you look at some of these performances on the Dove Awards for certain performers, not everyone is into it. And I'm not saying that I'm not saying your music is gonna always, if you're an artist or you're an aspiring artist that wants to do music for God, not everyone's gonna like your music, and that's fine. But it's noticeable. Like, I remember, as a matter of fact, I think it was last week, I was watching a couple of performances. I was watching Andy Mineo's performance of You Can't Stop Me, where he actually had Brian Welch, the drummer of Korn, come in and help him with the chorus. Andy Mineo, he's got the crowd, or at least the very front crowd, lit up. And, he's coming down the stage with his camera running through the room, just filming people. He's even joking around saying, "Where's Bill Gaither? He taught me how to rap." He's trying to get the audience involvement, but when the cameraman follows Andy, you see that unless you're in the front row, a majority of those people are either sitting down and have absolutely no reaction at all. And I've noticed that with, rock performances or rap performances, they just kind of shrug it off. And that always made me feel like, it's kind of like how Dayton put it when he felt as though Lecrae was putting CHH down. When I see that happen, it's like people of Christian music or gospel music, whatever you want to call it, it's like saying they don't want to be associated with gospel rap or Christian rap because it's like the nerdy little brother you're embarrassed about. You don't want us around because we don't make you, we're not as cool as you. And even though God sees our hearts and, sees that we're ultimately doing it for him, it hurts me to see that kind of thing because it's like, we're just, our voices are just as important as yours. And I'm not saying that the people who aren't, clapping or getting along with, not getting along with, but the people who are not clapping and not getting, engaged with the music are judging us. But at times, I know some of them are. Even today, in 2019, it's about to be 2020. Some people still believe that, certain sounds don't belong in the church. What I mean is some people still think that rap doesn't belong in the church or rock music doesn't belong in the church. And my argument with that has always been that God created music the music belongs to God. All things created by him and for him. And it hurts my heart knowing that some people will never accept our music as a solid form of worship. That, me doing Christian rap or gospel rap, whatever you want to call it, oh, that's just for the young people. That's when we have youth service or, we have something like that. No, I got a message for everybody. It's not just the young people. You can't sit here and tell me that just because I'm rapping that my message is only for the youth. Adults struggle too. And my argument is that sometimes you need music like ours, hip-hop, or sometimes even rock music, to connect with you where your quote-unquote worship music can't. Because a lot of these worship songs, and again, I have to stress, this is not me throwing shots, but those worship songs sometimes are not what we need. Sometimes we need music that's relatable, music that can connect with us. Because sometimes you can't just go out there in the streets. Like, I'm from Philadelphia, as I pointed out. You can't go out here in the streets of Philadelphia and expect to play, Hillsong and all this in the streets where hip hop is primarily a thing and expect that change. Not saying that it can't happen, because it can, but when there's somebody out there who's using a format that they're familiar with to reach out to them, and God is using that format, why reject it? Why stick your nose up to it? And it's truly sad, because I think that, we're just as valid as any other, worship team or whatever the case may be. There's a church in New York that their worship is done in hip hop. There's a church in Brazil, a Christian church, that their form of worship is heavy metal. And to me, it's like, man, that's awesome. If only people can see it that way, to see that what we do is considered worship, that we're not just rock, we're not just rap and hip hop, that we're not just, on the other side of the schoolyard, like we're not, the nerds are sitting here, the jocks are sitting here, and all the cool kids are sitting here. No, we're a part of you. We're 100% a part of you. And we're also part of you regardless of our race and color, going back to the racial part of this conversation. Because rap and hip hop at one point was considered, a black thing. That you have to be black to be a rapper or a hip hop artist. And if you weren't, you were appropriating their culture. You're appropriating. I personally believe you cannot appropriate art. Because if you look at the definition of appropriation, that's taking something without somebody's consent or permission. If look, like I said, I'm Spanish, but let's say I'm white and I want to rap. Who the heck am I supposed to ask, hey, can I please do this rap stuff? Who's the authority on that? Nobody. You can't appropriate art. That's my opinion. Same thing where, if a black person wants to do heavy metal, they can do it if they want. Who they have to ask? There should be no race there, man. And unfortunately, and especially in Christian music, in the gospel circle, it's sad. It's sad that we, have this divide. And if you don't believe me, if you think I'm tripping, let me show you something real quick. Let's go to the Dove Awards nominations. And you're gonna tell them, and I'm gonna ask you if you don't think something fishy is happening, or something is fishy in terms of the divide, as I'm calling it. All right, so I'm on the. Oh look, it was their 50th anniversary, and they welcomed that with some controversy. So check this out. I'm looking at their awards right now. Look at this. Look, there's two gospel awards here, right? There's Gospel Artist of the Year and Southern Gospel Artist of the Year. What's the difference? I don't know. Let's find out. Let me see. For Southern Gospel Artist of the Year, their nominees were Ernie Haas and Signature Sound, the Gaither Vocal Band, Jason Crabb, Joseph Habendank, Karen Peck. You know what? Again, Southern Gospel Artist of the Year. All these nominees are white. All of them are white. Yeah, all 5 nominations are white. Now, Gospel Artist of the Year. This is the award after it. Jacqueline Carr, that's a black woman. Kirk Franklin, a black man. Karen Hawthorne, a black woman. Tasha Cobbs, a black woman. Wow, Travis Green is a black man. So, just these 2 examples right here. Southern Gospel Artist of the Year, all the nominees are white. Gospel Artist of the Year are all black. So, besides the fact that Southern is in front of Gospel, you see this? They're all, there's a divide. Oh, look at here. Contemporary Gospel Album of the Year. Road to Damascus, Israel Houghton. I think he's mixed, right? The Answer, Jason Nelson. Declarations, Jonathan Nelson. Unstoppable, Corin Hawthorne. So this is a mix. Why? Because it's contemporary. Interesting. I don't know, guys. You can't tell me that's weird to see. That's just really awkward. Oh, look at this. Look at this. Worship Album of the Year. Let's look at that, guys. Again, this is not me being bitter. It's not. I'm not throwing shots at anybody. I just think this is weird that this is a thing. Now, remember what I told you guys earlier about worship? If I asked you to picture a worship band, who would you think of? So let's look at these nominees. The Worship Album of the Year. Victory by Bethel Music, who I mentioned. Holy Roar by Chris Tomlin. Hallelujah Here Below by Elevation Worship. That's a popular band. People by Hillsong United. You can't have a worship album nominees without mentioning Hillsong. And Living Hope, Phil Wickham. Phil Wickham, I've heard so much about him. But guys, enlighten me. Why isn't Andy Mineo considered worship? Isn't he talking about God? Why isn't, a band like Skillet considered a worship band? You see what I'm trying to say? As a matter of fact, let's see if Skillet is here. Let's see if they're here. Wow. They're not even here. Rock Contemporary Album of the Year. Only 3 nominees. Demon Hunter, Need to Breathe, and Switchfoot. I don't know. Guys, please let me know. Do you think I'm tripping or do I have a point? Because I think I have a point. Anyway. Guys, I hope at the end of the day we get this resolved with Kirk Franklin and them, because nobody should be silenced. And I really don't think there should be any kind of divide when it comes to the music that we do for the Lord. I think that we all should be considered Christian, that we all should be considered gospel in terms of the music that we make, regardless of style. But you guys let me know. Do you agree with me or you don't agree with me? Let me know in the comments down below. And fingers crossed, guys, because I know it's kind of difficult to listen to this on YouTube. Because, not everybody has YouTube Red where you can turn the phone off and still listen to it. But fingers crossed, because I'm hoping, if all things go well, I will be on streaming platforms soon. So, again, fingers crossed, God's will be done. Cup of Curious may be streaming on a platform near you. Okay? Okay. Good. All right. Again, guys, you're more than welcome to come to the Fiesta de la Cosecha, the 15th to the 17th at 1011 West Butler Street, Iglesia Alfaro. I hope to see you there. And if you do, please let them know that I sent you. So until then, I will see you on the next episode of Cup of Curious. God bless y'all. I love y'all.
Thanks for listening to the show. Have a suggestion for the next episode? Want Will to answer a question? Want to recommend a drink or tell him to give the voiceover guy a pay raise? Then shoot an email at cupofcurious@gmail.com or slide in our DMs on Instagram at cupofcurious. Remember, stay thirsty and stay curious.